Hello, good evening. I hope you have collected the question papers of different years and might have distributed them chapter wise. Okay, class 12th students, we'll start the chapter 1, that is reproduction in organisms. The period from birth to the natural death of an organism represents its lifespan. Lifespan of different organism varies and it doesn't depends upon the size or complexity. Few examples, rather illustrations are as follows. Elephant lifespan is 75 years, a rose plant almost 10 years, dog 10 to 14 years, and butterfly 1 to 2 weeks, cows 15 years, and a tortoise lives for 100 to 150 years. A banyan tree lifespan is more than 200 years. Some of them survive up to 500 years too. Death of every individual organism is a certainty. That means no individual is immortal except single cell organisms. There is a life process in which living organisms that ensures continuity of life is the reproduction. That means life continues with the help of reproduction. The term immortal is given for single cell organism because then the reproduction and growth is simultaneous. That means one cell divide to form two, and this is the way by which they grow in population and the reproduction also. So reproduction is defined as a biological process in which an organisms give rise to young ones, that is offspring, similar to itself. The offspring grow, mature, and in turn produce new offspring. Thus, there is a cycle of birth, growth, and death. Reproduction enables the continuity of the species, generation after generation. That means the human gives rise the human, cow gives rise the cows, and this process continues. Next point, based on whether there is a participation of one organism or two in the process of reproduction, it is of two types. When offspring is produced by a single parent with or without the involvement of gamete formation, the reproduction is asexual. And when two parents, rather opposite sex, participate in the reproductive process and also involve fusion of male and female gametes, it is called sexual reproduction. Now we come to the asexual reproduction. Offsprings are exact copies or clones of each other and the parent. That means they are externally and genetically similar to the each other. The mitosis is the essential mode of asexual reproduction. By the process of mitosis, new individual arise. There are different type of asexual reproduction observed in different organisms, rather in nature. First is the fission, then fragmentation, budding, regeneration, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. Fission. In fission, splitting of parental cell into two or more daughter cells happen to occur. Accordingly, it is of two types, that is a binary fission and multiple fission. The splitting of parental cell into two equal daughter cells, each of which grows into an adult, is called binary fission. For example, single celled organisms like bacteria, protozoans, they divide to form two daughter cells, and so on. In multiple fission, the splitting of a parent cell into numerous daughter cells, each of which grows into an adult, is called multiple fission, that is in Plasmodium, and many more. Next one is a sporulation. During unfavorable conditions, for example, when it become very hot, the ponds start drying, or it is too cold for the normal survival of the organisms like amoebae, they cover themselves with a three-layered hard covering or cyst. This is called encystation. On return of favorable condition, it divides by multiple fission within the cyst and produces many amoebae. The cyst bursts and spores are liberated to develop into adults. This is called sporulation. Now we come to the fragmentation. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which the parental body breaks into two or more fragments, and each fragment grows into a new individual. For example, Spirogyra, Eulothrix, and so on. Third is the budding. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which one or more outgrowth, so called buds, are produced, which initially remain attached to the parent cell and finally get separated from it to grow into new individual. For example, yeast, hydra, etc. Now we come to the regeneration. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which the missing parts of an organism is repaired by proliferation of cells. For example, in planaria, if you cut planaria into 3 pieces, 4 pieces, each piece will regenerate into new planaria. This regeneration is more frequently observed in less complex organisms rather than more complex organisms. In more complex organisms, the regeneration is limited to healing of wounds. For example, if there is a cut in our body, that get healed up, but we cannot regenerate the new organ. Now next is a spore formation. Zoospores, conidia, gemmules, these are the different type of spores. These are very frequently observed in the lower organisms, that is less complex organisms like algae, fungi, and some of the animals. Zoospore, These are the unicellular, naked and motile spores with one or two flagella. Flagella is the structure which help in locomotion. Zoospores are produced in a sac-like structure called zoosporangium. For example, Chlamydomonas. Conidia, asexual non-motile spores cut off externally either singly as in case of Phytophthora or in chains of Conidia. For example, Penicillium. From the tip of special type of hyphae called conidiophore. You might have read sporangiospores which are produced in some of the fungi within the sporangium in class 11. Now we come to the gemmules. Internal asexual reproduction units or buds are called gemmules. For example, in sponges. These develop within the parental body and are released during germination. Actually, it is the collection of few germ cells, rather more potential cells supported by spicules, that is the exoskeleton. These gemmules released from inside and grow into new sponge. Now here there are the pictures of the different type of spores, buds, etc. In first case you see zoospore, second is the conidia, third one is the bud, and next one is the last one is the gemmules. Now we come to the vegetative propagation. It is a mode of reproduction in which new plants are formed from vegetative parts of the plant like roots, stem, leaves, etc. It is very common in higher organisms, rather the plants. Following are some units of vegetative propagation. In agave, that is a ghee-covered or aloe vera, it is the bulbil. Bulbs are bulblets in onion and garlic. In potato, these are the eyes. The potato is an example of tuberous stem. Leaf buds in bryophyllum, that is commonly known as ajuba, kalanchu. Offset in water hyacinth and pistia. The water hyacinth also known as terror of Bengal. Rhizome in ginger and turmeric, runner, oxalis, sucker, mint, etc. So that is enough for today. Now in next class we will begin with the sexual reproduction.